Hello, Pierluigi here, and in this video I want to talk about where to find good designers. So we're not going to focus on the application process, but mostly where are the best places to find designers. And I myself have been a designer for the past 10 years, and I also hired and helped design teams scale. So I have experience from both sides. And now let's start discussing the very two most famous websites when it comes to finding designers, and those would be Behance and Dribbble. And personally, I think that these are good places to start, especially if you're looking for visual designers. But in my experience, what I noticed is that a lot of the times on Dribbble, you're only seeing a superficial side of the design, which is just the aesthetics. And nothing to take from the aesthetics part of it, but one of the most important things to consider is that, especially if you're hiring a UX designer or a designer which is going to be involved in a more complex project, is not going to focus just on the aesthetics, you're going to need to vet them properly. And that means hopping on a call with them and asking a series of questions to understand if they're not only good from the aesthetic point of view, but are their problem solving on point, and do they have a strong design workflow? Because there's a lot that's going on behind hiring a good designer. So you have to keep in mind things like, are they going to deliver on time? Is the work consistent? Are they simply showing maybe like UI kits or copy and paste aesthetically pleasing shots on their Dribbble? Because those things do occur. But then if they're faced maybe with a more complex project, they're not going to be able to deliver it just as well. So these things are really important to consider, because ideally you want a designer who is good at both the problem solving and the aesthetics. Now, that being said, there are other websites which you can consider, which already pre-vet the designers for you. And one of the most famous ones is TopTal. And I myself, I'm in TopTal, and I can tell you that the application process was quite extensive. And that is a good thing, because they really want to understand if you are a good designer with good problem solving skills or not. So definitely TopTal is on the higher end when it comes to the budget range, so it's not for everybody, but if you can afford it, definitely I would consider it. Another rising star, if you wish, in the same fashion as TopTal is Braintrust, and again, they do have a vetting process. I am also on Braintrust. Since I was already on TopTal, I don't think that the vetting process was as intensive as you would go if you weren't there. So I cannot talk about my personal experience when it comes to the application, but definitely is another great place where you can find some really solid designers. On top of that, you can also go with the more classic options, which is, for example, Upwork. And I don't really have anything against Upwork, but one thing that you definitely want to consider is that on Upwork, you're going to find designers of all sorts, meaning that their experience is going to range simply because they don't need to go through an extensive application like other websites which I just mentioned. So you're going to be able to find any type of designer really, and you're going to have to be pretty hardcore when it comes to the vetting process at the start, meaning that you're probably going to have to ask more questions and really understand if they're a good fit for working with your company. Now, usually one thing which I like to do in my process is initially hopping on a discovery call with them. So asking a bunch of questions which help me understand what their thinking process is like, and also their personality type and any other element which is going to be helpful to understand if they're going to be a good fit within my team. And on top of that, I also like to go on a 1 or 2 weeks trial period, or simply assign them a trial project, and then essentially based on the results, I can decide if I continue working with them or not. So I really hope this video was helpful, and if you need help with hiring designers, you can hop on a quick call with me. You can book it in the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.